Hello. I hope everybody can hear us. Michelle, can you hear me?
I can certainly hear you.
Can you check 1, 2, 3? Can you hear this? Can you hear that?
I cannot hear that.
You can't hear that?
Because I don't have headphones in.
Oh, listen to this. Listen to this side right here. Can you hear?
Oh, I can hear.
Can you hear this?
I can hear it. So sad. Okay. Yes, I can.
That's what happened on the Carnival Triumph in 2013. It was a little bit of this and a lot of this. A lot of that.
Yes.
Hey, but on a positive note, listen, I know some other people say, Mike, you're negative all the time. It's always negative. I'm trying to be positive on this. There was a lot of positives that came around because of, in 2012, the Costas unfortunately sunk, turned on its side, and 30-some people passed away, which Carnival owned them as well. And then 2013, you had the poop cruise, which that's what the I can't remember if it was CNN that kind of started that, the name of it, but all the other news industry started calling it that as well. So it's some positive things, and that's towards the end of this. Once we kind of talk about the show a little bit and what we saw, and I've got some notes here I took from some articles I read, and I even went back and watched 2012 and 2013 videos of when it first happened. That was kind of cool to watch that. I mean, cool now to see what they were
Certainly
saying.
not cool what they went through.
No. And then I also saw some things that were said now recently where people were upset that was on that cruise, and they're like, hey, Netflix kind of made it funny and laughed it off a little bit, about guy not wanting to poop the whole time and the three girls, wanting to have
Take
fun
Imodium
and like, taking Imodium. Hey, that as soon as they said that, I started laughing. I said, that'd been me. I'd been the first one to grab the Imodium. I'm like,
Yeah.
I ain't pooping there. I do that now when I go into ports and I don't have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, hand me an Imodium. Let me take it. But yeah, it's, some positive things came out of it. It was definitely a upsetting time. And I'm kind of shocked now. On Lovey's Fat Life, we did a little poll, and it started out very high where people were like, the question was, if this happened to you and you were, on there for 4 or 5 days without power, or maybe been 3 or 4 days, whatever it was, would you ever cruise again? And I don't think I would if it was my first cruise, because our first ship was the Triumph. And Michelle, I'm going to ask you this, because I went back, I keep everything in files. And in my mind, I kept saying, we went on that cruise ship 2 weeks before it happened. 2 weeks before it happened, we were on that cruise ship. And I was like, well, maybe it was 2 months before it happened. I went back and found the files where we videoed and took pictures of on the Triumph out of Charleston, the first time we ever cruised. And what year do you think it was?
I think it had to been, was it 2009?
Exactly. So we went on the Sunshine, not Sunshine, the Triumph, which is now the Sunrise, back in 2009. So instead of me saying 2 weeks before or 2 months before, we were 4 years before.
No, Mike has a bunch of fish stories.
Yeah, they get bigger and bigger, right? Yeah, it was 2 days before. No, it was 4 years before. So no wonder that ship looked so good back then. I don't even know what year it came out, but for 2009, I mean, it probably was early 2000, late 1990s. I don't know, but yeah, it ended up being 4 years before. So it was our first cruise ship. Kind of broke our virginity when it comes to. Don't they say that about cruise ships, or what they say? Oh, they break the champagne bottle or whatever. Okay, I'm thinking of something else.
Just first
back
cruise?
In high school. Yeah, first cruise. So yeah, our first cruise was on the Triumph out of Charleston, and it wasn't bad enough that we didn't do it again. Now, we did wait a long time. To Anthony, it was about, what, 4, 5?
Yeah, and that's just because we couldn't cruise.
We didn't have the money, and it was paid for the first time, and it's really affordable. So that was another thing came out this week was, and we're gonna go back and say hey to everybody here in a sec. It was Carnival came out with their earnings. And I posted that in our Lovey's Fat Life too, and they're making money, hands over fist. So I don't think they're worried about your rewards or your loyalty. They're like, yeah, the 10 or 15, 20% of you. Yeah, okay.
See ya.
We made $6 billion to the profit here. 10% of that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll see you later. I do think they'll back off on that a little bit, but yeah, Carnival's they said their bookings are as good as it's ever been. Again, that's from the last 3 months before they announced this. And their bookings are way out in advance. And this past quarter, they just killed it.
Yep.
So I think I posted on there too that back in 2013, when this event happened on the Triumph, basically it was a tragedy. They owned 50% of the business then. And now they own like 41% and 35% of the profit total, or 35% of total customers. So they still own a huge bit. But in the last 12 years, they've 10 to 15% of their business has been cut into by, I'm sure, Royal and MSC coming into the picture now, and NCL and Voyage, Virgin and Viking. So
I think that's a whole nother level.
Yeah, that's another whole level. So let's go say hey to everybody real quick, and then let's talk about what you thought. If you did see the movie, if you didn't see the movie, we're not going to go into. Well, I guess we will till probably
Yeah,
all the
we're gonna
major
tell it.
things. You probably already heard it by now anyway. But one reason we wanted to do this, because listen, we think we're a little niche here. This is the thing about it. When you're in the cruise community niche, you think you're like, oh man, everybody knows this about cruising and blah blah. We are this small. Not trying to cut us all down. Our YouTube channels are this small in the big picture of YouTube. The news on cruise ships is this small in the big world of YouTube. And the travel, the travel thing's pretty big, but cruising is relatively small, even though there's more people cruising now than they ever have.
Right.
So there's a lot of people who didn't even know that the Sunrise used to be the Triumph. And I saw where they said people on that cruise ship right now when it came out this week were like, I never knew this was a Triumph. So you'd be shocked in most Facebook groups that you join. Most of the cruisers only been on one or two cruises before. There's a lot of blue and red cards from in the past. So a lot of people don't care about it as much or as passionate about it as maybe we are or some of our friends are or their other YouTube channels. They don't care. So the whole thing about rewards and all that, they're probably said, yeah, Diamond and Platinum's walking around with their nose up in there. I used to tell Josh that all the time. He was going to drown, because he's walking around when he's Platinum. I'm Platinum. I'm just almost Diamond. If it rains here in the Bahamas, I would die. But most people don't care about that. I know you care about it. And there are some things that we will miss, but I really don't care about it, to be honest with you. It's not that big of a deal to me. I know some of you are very passionate about it. Personally, I want to control the controllables, right? I can't control that. Yeah, you can send your little email out, say whatever y'all want to John Hill, call him names, whatever. It's not going to change anything. Same thing with government. People get all tied up into Republican, Democrats, and independents. I can't change all that. I change it when I vote. You can change it by booking another cruise line if you want to. Money talks, but there ain't no use to keep on and on about it because you're just, sometimes you look like the fool. Or maybe I know I look like a fool a lot. Right, Michelle?
Okay.
Let's go back and say hey to everybody.
I think that's a good idea.
Roy and Amanda, I don't know which one that is. Maybe it was Roy, maybe it was Amanda, but hello to both of you. Good to see you in the house. We're probably talking and nobody can hear us. Beach, please. Mike from John, I have it's got slowing down. But Betsy and Mike are in the house. Good to see both of you in here.
Hey, you guys.
Still working out these glasses, Michelle, down here. So you're going to have to help me out if I miss somebody. Who else here? Don't forget to vote in our poll. So right now we're looking at almost 60% of you have not been on either one of the ships. But the question is, were you ever on the Triumph? And I should have put both because some of you may have done both. Or were you on the Sunrise or were you on neither? And I should have put both in there as well, but I didn't. Miss Linda is in the house. Good to see you, Miss Linda. And Mark dropped in to say hello. Good to see you and Steph. And then we got June and Brady in here. Hey, I'm ready to talk poop. That's right. That's one of my favorite things to talk about. Let's see. Man, Nightbot's in here early. Who else we got? We got Habib in there. Hi, yes. Mike and Michelle. Mia is here with me tonight. Hello, Mia.
We're happy to see you.
I was looking at your cruise next February there, Habib, to the ABCs and the Horizon, because I kind of, after I did the job search today, I started looking for fun things to do. And that was to go on a cruise in January, February, March next year. And I was looking at MSC and I was looking at the Horizon, going to the ABCs again. Tough decision. I love the ABCs. MED is in the house. Good to see you, Mary Ann Dillon. So Betsy says we can hear, or Mike says we can hear. And let's see who else we got in here. Eileen is in the house. Good to see you, Miss Eileen. And the real Captain Billy J. So are you or Rich? I can't tell. Are you the real Captain Billy J? I mean, I know you're a real Captain Billy J, but we got Captain No Pants Prophet Richard or whatever. Would that make him the big dick? Richard?
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Let's talk about it. We had to explain that one time to our son on why Dick was short for Richard. I still haven't figured that out yet.
I don't know that.
Let's see who else is in here. The cruise world's in here. I already said that. Good to see you in here. Who else we got in here? So this is what happens when you have a couple of shots of Buffalo Trace before you go live.
Well, we got Josh in here.
Josh is in here. Oh,
Yeah.
I said real dead. I figured I was real dead. But here,
Well, that's not
here to
you,
hear
'cause
all the
you're
information they
beside me.
miss on Netflix. Yeah, Netflix did a really, crappy job of that overall. Let's see who else. Hey, Michelle and Mike, we have sailed on both. Okay, both of them, not a poll option. That's right. Yeah, I missed that, putting that one in there. So 61% now saying no to either. You've not been on either one of those.
Wow. Did the poop scare you away?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard bad things about the Sunrise though. I mean, it is old ship. Now the Sunshine needs a lot of update too, but she was the Destiny, and that is, I think, the oldest ship in the
And we love her.
fleet, and we love her. I mean, I don't care if she's got a little rust. Hey, there might be a little dust on the bottle. But don't let you fool you for what's inside. Can anybody say who sings that?
Wow. Okay. Hi, Joseph.
Holly is in the house, and Joseph is in the house. Good to see you, Joseph. Good to see you, Miss Holly.
Hey, Holly.
And we got Hello in here. Hello. How's your job
Hi.
search going? So I don't know who this H is. If you're a potential hire, like HR or hire, call me up. Not doing so great. I've had a couple of offers, turned one of them down. I can't remember if I told anybody. Have I said that on here or not?
I don't know.
I think I spilled my guts to Josh about it. But I turned one offer down. Decent money, but it was going to be an hour commute each way. I turned that job down, and then I had a person call me last Friday about a position that was going to require a lot of traveling to Mexico. Mexico, or I won't go say what Trump would call it, but and I backed out on that one on a Friday. I stayed up late Thursday getting everything ready for the person, and then I next day I started thinking about it more. It was going to be like 30% travel, and I was like, I just don't want to do that. Not at 54 years old. So I backed out of that one, but had some good opportunities this week. Some jobs came up here locally that popped up all of a sudden on, so I've applied on those. I've updated my resume, my LinkedIn. They're hot and fire now. They're scoring about a 90. If you're an HR person, they're scoring about a 90 on the ATS. So I feel good about that. I just need some money. I mean, we're okay for a couple more months, but after that, I'm selling all my stock. We're selling it all. I'm opening up a food truck. We're moving. We're selling barbecue on the side.
Hey, Sarah.
Sarah is in the house. Good to see you, Sarah. I haven't seen you all in a couple months. We'll be with Sarah and TX and the Cruise Dorks group cruise. And I think there's a couple other folks. I think Miss Holly may be on there, and Mike and Peg and Artie, I think, is going to be on there. So we'll have a good time on there.
So much fun.
Yep. Anybody else I missed, Michelle? Let's see. I was on the Sunrise in December, Ocho Rios, blah, and Grand Cayman. Yay. Okay. So what did you think about the ship, Joseph? Was it in good shape to you, or did you have a good time, or is it, needs a lot of work done?
Was it still stinky?
Was it still stinky? Is it still pooping? Is it still, yep, that's the 5th time. Every time you hear that night, you got to take a shot if you got a drink or a swig of wine or whatever you want to do. Who else we got in here?
We've got Carla in
Miss
here.
Carla is in the house. Good to see you.
Hi.
Good to see you. And okay, so we're getting towards about a crappy job. That's right. That's a crappy job. We will be on the Sunrise in September.
Murphy, correct.
David Lee Murphy. Yes. Yes. Might be.
Yep.
Tell you what, I saw him open up for Kenny Chesney, and he's got a lot of big hits, and he's wrote a lot of songs for other people as well. So, Josh, did y'all time that just in time that this was coming out now, and then you're going on that ship a couple months later? Alternative motive there.
Hi, Tess.
So, yes, Richard's a good friend of ours. He's really a wonderful person. Yeah, Richard, if I'm not mistaken, he came by your house and saw you guys just 10 minutes up the road this past year, right? If I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, regarding rewards, I'm only disappointed about losing the early embarkation and debarkation. Being from Ohio, we fly at a lot of ports.
Yes.
I agree, Tess. That is a big one.
That and laundry are my only two.
And the laundry is $15 a bag. I mean, if you get 2 or 3 bags, it's $30, $45. the early on though, we used to buy that, and it could be up to $99 to get on early.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know
For faster to the fun.
you know, if they're having problems with so many platinum and diamond, why don't they quit selling that?
They might.
Yeah, I don't think they will. Miss
Hi,
Mia's
Mia.
in here. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Got Anthony
And good luck,
Simone
Mike. I appreciate that. Yeah, we need some good luck here because Anthony's wanting to go to high school here. Michelle's been at her job almost 30 years. So it'd be better if I could get a job here. And hey, and I may have to take a cut and pay. It is what it is. We're not in too bad a spot. So if we have to take a, Michelle asked me the other day about becoming a teacher, which would be a huge cut and pay. But it's a thought. I've been thinking about it more.
Well, I told him. I said, Mike,
There was an opportunity to teach at the local community college. So I don't know. It's a huge cut and pay, but
I told Mike the other day. I said, don't say anything, because you know he likes to talk. Don't say anything. Just open your ears and let it marinate in your brain before you get all upset. And
it would be more. It would be a huge cut and pay,
it would
though.
be a huge cut.
In these last 10 to 15 years of working, I want to put as much back in the savings so we can retire a little earlier. So
okay. Anyway,
but I may have to do it, you know, or work at the movie theater. If I'm going to do something I like to do.
Well,
I'll work at the movie theater for $7.50 an hour, you know.
I don't think that's where you need to start.
TX said, I'm here too, but she has me cooking dinner.
Hey,
Cook it, TX. I bet it's 110 degrees down there.
Oh, I can't imagine.
I just had a swig of wine. I bet you
Yay!
did. Probably need to drink 4 or 5 of them. David Lee is great. Haven't seen him in a while. Yeah, yes, I love David Lee Murphy. He's great. So the 2009 trunk was my first ship, not Teresa's though. Oh, so we were. So Ronnie, we went the same year then. Because ours was 2009 too.
I don't remember what month it was. It was in the fall.
It was in the summer, June.
Oh, okay.
It was hot. If I'm not mistaken, I went back and looked it up, and that's what it said it was at.
Okay.
But that's what my file said too. It said 2009 Bahama trip. That's how I saved it. Bahama cruise is what I called it. So it may have went back and forth. I did part of the year here and then part of the year down in New Orleans. Or anybody else new in here? We're gonna go ahead and talk. Hey y'all, how are y'all? Congrats,
we got Joe and Tracy. Joe and
Tracy's in the house. Good to see
sorry,
Joe and Tracy. We love the new rewards, honestly, but the fact that they aren't recognizing days sold or numbers of cruises. So if you gamble a lot, yeah, it's you can go straight to platinum and diamond, which you are already there anyway, and you're going to be there for another 6 years. So it's no big deal to somebody that gambles a whole lot. Somebody like myself that doesn't gamble a whole lot, and Michelle, she doesn't even gamble at all now because she was letting me get all the points so that we may get the cheaper cruises. You know, so.
Well, I'm just practical. I do gamble some, but last
2 or 3 yet.
Last one I didn't gamble at all because we were doing renovations on the house, and I wanted.
You wanted that money to go towards renovations.
I did. I wanted it to go towards things that were really necessary.
Oh, she's saying gambling's not necessary, especially if you don't have a job.
And if that's something that you like to do more than I. Okay. So I'm willing to take one for the team and do something else because I'm just happy to read my book that I am gambling. Okay.
So Joseph said it seemed okay. Your typical rest areas on decks, but they touched them up during the cruise. No poop smell. Where I was, Ocean View Deck 2, just inconsiderate rugrats running the hallways.
That's pretty typical.
The last time we went on the Magic, everybody talked about how great the Magic ship was, and we did like the casino and the Magic. But I wasn't the whole week. We had problems with kids tearing stuff off the doors and just knocking on the doors. And it was when school was out, so that's on us for booking it during that time period. But I just didn't see this big thing that people love the Magic about, and I was like, it was okay. Don't get me wrong, it was a nice ship, but it's not top 3 for me. No.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, Stephanie Shelley. Hi, first time listening. Good to see you in here, Stephanie.
Thank you so much.
10 days till we're back on the Carnival Sunshine and back to Bermuda. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, but platinum or diamond doesn't mean anything with this new program. They took stuff away. All they had to do was add some more tiers. I agree with that. Yeah. We were going to ride our Carnival deals out and then over to some other lines. Yes,
absolutely.
We're probably going to look at MSC, more Princess, definitely more Celebrity. Destination Fun is in the house. Good to see you.
So we need to explain to Stephanie some information.
I'm interested in group cruises, but do not know how to check it out. So this is a great segue, Stephanie. We actually have a group cruise that is going to happen in February of 2027 with Carnival. So hey, those that have booked it, don't run too far yet. We've got at least have one last party in February 2027. 22727 out of Miami on the Carnival Horizon, which is our favorite ship. A little bit more than the Sunshine, a little bit more. And it's going to Aruba, Curacao, and Celebration Key.
That's great.
So we're going to have a great time on there. So maybe that will get thrown in here by.
And we are going with Josh and Michelle.
Josh and Michelle, yes, it's a group cruise. It's a dual group cruise. So I know there's another group cruise going a couple of weeks earlier than that too that we didn't even pick up on that, and we apologize for booking so close.
Where does she need to?
Mike says no gambling, no gambling. It'll be thrown up in here hopefully, and Stephanie here in a little bit. But also you can join us on Lovey's Fat Life. If you're on Facebook, go ahead. You can join our group there, and we talk about food and travel, a lot of cruising. And there's also a pinned video on that. Also, if you go to our channel, Lovey's Fat Life, we have that pinned on our YouTube channel, the video for information for that. So just a heads up on that as well. All right, Carnival Cruise Addicts, Joe and Tracy, we love the magic, destination fun. We're getting towards the bottom. So listen, we're sitting at 67% have not settled on either. So I'm going to end this right here, this poll. I'm going to end that poll. And now the new question is have you seen the Poop Cruise
Netflix video?
Netflix
show.
Yeah, it's like 55 minutes. So I'm going to have to start that poll there. But some of the things I'm reading, I said it at the very beginning of the show, and I know some people came in a little bit later, is my only concern. Hey, Team Carl, good to see you in here. So he said Josh Hill's #1 Carnival apologist is on this group cruise. He is, and we may even have John Hill come by and say hello to everybody. You know, he kisses babies, taps people. Like he may even give us some hair from the beards on this cruise. Maybe, I don't know. That's kind of a sexist statement to say from. I'm talking about the beards, not me, but he says it's always the beards. I mean, I guess women can have beards too, but he says the beards. That's kind of a sexist thing to say, you know. I'm kind of shocked Carnival hasn't, smacked him on the hand on that one. But so your thoughts the other night, or whenever you watched it, it could have been today or yesterday or even Tuesday. Did you like the way it was presented or portrayed? Because I have read some comments from people that were on that ship. I read it both ways. Mostly the first way I'm going to say this, they thought that Netflix was very insensitive to how bad it really was. And they tried to make it like a laugh and a joke. And, the one guy didn't want to poop, and, it made some kind of light of it. And I get that, making light of it a little bit, because nobody did die. I'm sure there's some people that have some really traumatic, still to today have some traumatic problems with it. And some people I thought were a little bit insensitive in how they were saying, well, it was just they were out of power. These are the same people who can't go camping. They can't start their own fire. And they cry when their cell phones don't work, on a cruise ship, or they get upset when their rewards are taken away from. Their stat. Sorry.
Oh, Mike.
But sorry, it's a lot of Buffalo Trace. I'm just saying that.
Well, I'll tell you, I would be pretty dang upset.
I don't think I could. If we went on our first cruise on the Triumph, which we did, and we would have had that happen to us, I don't think I would ever be on a cruise ship again.
I can't even comprehend how bad the smell would be if you are waiting in waste. I just can't imagine what that smell.
They said the lower decks was really bad, like 1 and 2 and 3. So I saw the trailer and it was strange seeing Jen in a uniform. Yes, she actually it was a few years back. I think she was ranked in the top 10 best cruise directors of all time.
Wow.
And now she works for Viking Cruises. if I'm not mistaken, unless
Wow.
something's changed. Last I read, she worked for Viking, and she worked kind of up in the management. And she, I think, is a lot of stuff in Europe. She does, I believe. So she has moved up. She's still in the cruising industry. I wonder where the Russian lady that talked about drinking and having sex
She was
wild on
pretty
the ship.
funny.
I wonder what happened to her.
It's safe to say she's probably not working with Carnival anymore. As light as she made of things.
Anyone who even uses the word insensitive needs a slap. I agree.
Can you imagine? No power, completely dark, can't see.
Joe's asking for this. I know he needed that.
Y'all, no air conditioner. And you know when
Listen,
it's hot and stagnant.
She asked Michelle how many times she's went camping with me.
Hell no, I'm not going camping.
She ain't went camping yet.
No.
She said, if it don't have a shower, it don't have electricity.
No, I'm not going camping.
You don't have nothing to plug her phone up. She ain't going.
No.
Can you imagine though? This is 12 years ago, and you know it's all fun and games. And I mean, they said it happened. It started at 5 a.m. And some of you may not have heard this. Please go watch it if you have Netflix. If not, I mean, I'm sure you'll find it on YouTube eventually. But it started out as a fire in the engine room.
Right.
Fire.
The alarms started going off. That emergency alarm.
Yeah, alpha team. 5:45 in the morning when it was still dark, and the power went off, and they heard this over the intercom system. And the problem was it was a diesel fuel line started spraying the fuel, and it got on a hot spot of the engine and ignited the fire. The problem with all that, if you dig into the paperwork on it, and I can't remember, I'm sure they said this in the documentary, was actually, they should have had that fixed a year earlier.
Yeah, there was reported instances of issues.
There was 9 issues within the cruise line and several on this ship, but between 9 of the ships that had issues with it. And this particular one, the area that they had this issue with, it was like up underneath an area. So they thought it was like under the flooring, a subflooring. So they thought that covered it in case it was a fire, but it did not count that way. But even their own inspection people kept calling it out that it needed to be fixed, and it wasn't. So not only did they not fix it, and that fire stopped, and you know, I mean, the fire started coming out just like the video you see on the Freedom. You may see, even saw a little bit of video on this ship. But I mean, them getting, I mean, all of a sudden, you know, in their mind, they're thinking, geez, this ship's on fire. We're doomed. You know, they don't know that certain things are shut off and sealed off. I mean, the Titanic was never supposed to sink. And I'm sure it got really scary really quick. So I want to go back up here and bring up with some other people.
I think they were probably not that bad a shape until the power went off. That's probably when, you know.
This is welcome in Captain Bustin' MD. I like that name.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love it.
After drinking, and I love his cover up there. After drinking and ship motion, there's nothing a red bag would do for me.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, that would not. And we actually both have nice LED flashlights in our backpacks just in case, but you never know if it would ever happen. So you probably saw that in the video too, where the girl said she had to go pee. And what they were doing is taking the little blinker thing, the light on the life jacket, life vest, pouring water on them to get them to work and hold them in their mouth while they were squatting in the shower to pee. So we didn't bring that up. So once they knew they were going to be without power, or they were out of power, they had to come up with a plan. I think Jen was one of the ones that helped. And listen, there was no plan in place prior to this. Many cruise lines probably didn't have one in place prior to this. So not only is it bad on Carnival, I think the whole industry learned from this. But so then they said, okay, we can pee. The men and the women can pee in the showers. Okay. Where are they going to poop at? So they came up with these bio bags, which I did some research on that. They actually have those on the ships now, but it's a two-part bag. The first part on the inside of it is actually a blue bag, has a chemical like stuff that absorbs it and helps cut down the odor. and then there's another outer bag that you actually seal it with. So it's like 2 bags now. But that wasn't in place prior to this happening, and now it was either invented or brought on the ship. So most cruise lines carry those type
Well,
bags
let
as
me
well,
go
just
back.
in case.
Just let me go back to the urinating in the shower.
I know it's different for women.
Even y'all, you can only do so much peeing in the shower, and then you're gonna have to stand in it.
Group cruise. Yeah, and it only have a little lip like that on the bottom of
You're
it.
gonna have to stand in it.
You know, some people are bad at showers anyway, and the water's all over the floor and stuff. Can you imagine them trying to pee in there and it sloshing and stuff like
So
that?
you've got to go into a cabin that is completely pitch dark, smells funky, 1,000 degrees, go stand in the pee to pee.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty disgusting.
I would never get over that.
Let's see what else we got here. So Tess says, I thought it was entertaining, but I can see how people on the ship didn't think it was as light as they made it.
Yeah.
It would have sucked. We were packing differently for our next Carnival cruise. Yeah, the whole flashlight thing makes you really think, you know. I mean, we do have a solar power that we always bring on the ship with us because we take it into ports and stuff, but that would have come in handy. I mean, you saw on there where they also had no way to contact their family members. So unless another cruise ship was coming close by, they couldn't call their family and
that's how they finally did get in touch with their families, is when another ship came by to drop off food for them.
I love camping, but we glamp. You'd like that better, Michelle. Hot showers, internet, and everything.
Yeah, that's the only way I could go.
I'm sure Mike and Michelle would appreciate if everyone hit. That's right. Hit that thumbs
Thank
up.
you.
It don't cost you a thing. Don't cost you a thing. So the huge issue with the trunk was a single point of failure with the electrical bus. Yes.
Yes.
And that is one of the things that has been corrected on ships going forward. And then also they went back and updated some of their older ships. I think they probably updated them all. They spent a ton of money, and we'll bring that up here in a second, on having multiple generators. And like one said it, like one problem on this ship was 2 of their generators, backup generators, was not working either. They wasn't up and running. So not only did, I don't know how many total generators they had on there, but 2 of them wasn't even working. So that was a problem. But yes, now they have it set up, I believe, on any new ship being built forward. And I don't know what year they started doing this. This is one of the things I'll read here in a few minutes, that they said since this cruise has happened, what has changed in the industry amongst all the cruise lines. But they have it set up on different banks now, different generators. So that way, all the sewage, hopefully, if all the generators are all of them are not working as well, certain toilets or certain levels and sections and public bathrooms and stuff are still set up on a generator. So it will still work even if half or a third or 3/4 of the ship goes out. There's still certain generators that are running refrigerators, stoves, and bathrooms.
Because they had no food.
Right. And that the biggest thing they were saying on that movie too was, you got to think about this. These people were waiting in line 2 or 3 hours to get food.
And people were hoarding.
And instead of all 5 people or 3 people or 4 people in the room waiting in line, one person would do it. Well, they'd get 3 and 4 sandwiches to take back. And some of the people were saying, well, they were like yelling and screaming at me and grabbing the food and stealing it because you should only take for one person. Well, you're taking it for your whole cabin. And then also, there was one day there, I think they were eating like cucumbers and onion sandwiches. So it was bad. And then if you had an interior room, you were bringing your mattress out and sleeping in the hallway or the foyer. I mean, the other thing's the elevators. The elevators were probably not working.
I'm sure not.
So people had mobility issues, and you're trying to get up to 16 where there's air, and you're on number 2 or 3. You're having to climb all the way up to deck 10, 12, 13, whatever.
What kind of
I think
a
it was
mess
deck
that
10
was.
or 11 on that ship. I think it's 10 or 11. But still, you got to go all the way up, 7 or 8 flights up to get to it.
I just can't imagine how horrible that would be.
Let's see what here. Oh yeah, I already got that one. Have the Poop Cruise Netflix show. Have the Poop Cruise Netflix show. I don't understand that, but yeah, we've seen it, and I think most of the people If you haven't seen it, you ought to see it if you got
Yes.
Netflix. So no electricity and no working plumbing. So just like the Mayflower. Yes. But on the Mayflower, it wasn't their vacation. The Mayflower was their,
Right.
yeah. Yeah. So that's another thing too on the newer ships is they break it down into black sewage, white, gray sewage. And back in the old days on the Mayflower, you did it in a bucket and you threw it off the side. You can't do that now. And even on the Titanic, I don't know if some of y'all know this or not, but even on the Titanic that had toilets in some of the rooms, when you use the bathroom in those ships back in, back then, it went all the way down by gravity and went out the side right off the bat. It was not cleaned or anything. So if you use soap, water, whatever, poop, pee, it went straight down and out. But nowadays, basically each one of these cruise ships has its own water filtration system. They don't put the water back in for you to drink, so don't think like I did that you might be drinking that. And there's certain areas that they have to store it in, like the black waste, the black water waste. They store it and it skims it and everything else. That doesn't go back out. You have the gray water, which is usually your bath water, which does have soap and stuff in it, hand washing and stuff like that. That gray water is put back into the ocean, but it can only be put into the ocean in certain areas, supposedly, or they'll get fined if they look at that. But it was really interesting to watch that. I think a guy's name is Ray. I want to say Smith or Ryan Smith, Ryan Smith. He's got a maritime channel where he talks about things about cruise ships and stuff over time, like way back into the Mayflower days till now, and how it's evolved and changed over the years. And it was really interesting to watch that. I watched that a little bit last night, and then some more today on it. All right, so I was thinking the same thing. Beach, please.
How is that gnat survive?
I don't know. That one gnat has lived in here like 3 years or something.
I don't know how it survives.
Let's see what else we got here. Could you imagine if some of the people have been complaining about the words were on the ship that when it happened? Those people should, instead of, that's another thing. Carnival gave those people they gave them a free future cruise and $500. And I think their cruise, I can't remember if the current cruise was paid for or not.
I think, didn't I see that?
May have been.
That they got their money back, $500 and a free future
and
cruise.
A free future cruise. And then at the very end of it, it said, like, some of them said, yes, we still cruise, but not Carnival. And then some of them's like, no, I'm never cruising again. And some had went cruising again. So
I like all-inclusive places, and that's where I would be.
So this one right here. So let's talk about a real horror on this cruise. Someone's in the casino and finally got a bonus. The electricity went off and never came back on. Bonus going bye bye. Yeah, the hand pay never really happened. The only hand pay they got was hand paying poop in a bag. That's disgusting. And did you hear? I saw a news. I can't remember. It was I saw this on the news thing too as well. But they were talking about people when they opened the bar up. And this was the really bad decision by
We
Carnival.
were laughing.
And unfortunately, I think Jen's the one that did this, said, yeah, let's do it. And they stopped it like within 2 or 3 hours. But people started drinking and partying free alcohol for a couple hours. They had to shut it down really quick. They was going to do it like till midnight and had to stop it like 2 or 3 hours into it because people were getting wasted.
Yeah.
But they were throwing the poop that was in the bio bags over the side of the ship into the ocean. They were doing that. And then some of them on the balcony, it was coming over the side and hitting them in the head. I mean, not only is it bad enough that you have no power, you've took Imodium and you can't poop, or you're holding it so bad, or you pooped yourself. You may be like Ric Flair and you're pooping yourself now. And then you turn around and you get hit in the head with a flying turd. Can you believe that? What a sucky cruise. Those people should be diamond for life. No matter what changes or reward or loyalty program, they should have been diamond for life, right?
They should be the highest tier.
Always carry a flashlight. Yeah, we do too. Poop over the railing, dropping missiles. Yes. Oh my gosh.
That is so horrible.
And the designed electrical bus was a Finnegan Terry issue shipbuilder. Okay,
Oh.
I didn't know that. But yeah, that's see, I love history on stuff like that. That does it for me. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, Sarah, I'm interested too.
I'm interested to know if any of the passengers are still cruising. Yeah, some of them. I said at the very end of it, some of them were.
Yeah, I would like to know.
It didn't say with Carnival though, but so flashlight, poncho, umbrellas will go with the both of us on every sailing. We do the poncho and the flashlight.
Yep.
We don't take an umbrella. We did to
to
Alaska because I had to carry it in my backpack, and then Michelle ended up carrying my backpack. I haven't seen the documentary, so why did they not use the lifeboats? Were they too far away? Yes, the boat was drifting pretty badly. They were on their way back. It had already hit Cozumel. They were only one day away.
Yeah, the cruise was over,
and they lost they were coming back is when they lost their power at that 5 o'clock in the morning. They were going to be off the next day. But they drifted so far away, like 80 to 100 miles away, that instead of bringing them back into it was somewhere in Mexico they were bringing them back into.
They had to take them to a much farther away.
Somebody will say it in here.
Yes.
Yeah. So then they ended up coming into Alabama, and then they come into Mobile, Alabama, and then they had buses lined up in New Orleans. I think they were taking them to New Orleans from there, which I think was another 3 or 4 hour drive. Michelle's face expression when she reads what people are commenting on is priceless. That's one thing I say about Michelle. She wears it on her face.
Yes.
So if you ever say anything and you upset her, you'll know it right off the bat.
Sorry.
And she holds grudges. She's not one to get over it right away. Like I could bring up something right now that happened within the first year we were married, and she would for 3 weeks wouldn't talk to me.
Yeah, that's
not the fair. I mean, not. I'm in trouble now. Let me start drinking.
He's never had an affair.
I'd never cheat on you, Michelle. I'd be scared of you're a nurse. You'd kill me. I mean, you know how to kill me and get away with it.
You just keep remembering that.
I remember it every time.
Good.
No Netflix here. It'll probably be on YouTube soon. I'm what Mike will talk about next week. That's big news. He's hoping for more. Yeah, Josh and them always got the big news. I keep picking with him every time. I'm like, you need to do one where just Michelle's on there. You're holding her belly, and you're like, big news coming this week. And that's what everybody goes to those big news things on Adventures Ahead because, they think it's, they're going to say they're having a child or, I mean, they did get Lily. So that was a big news.
Oh, she's so cute.
She's very cute. I would be traumatized from the experience, but I do not think it would keep me from cruising. Betsy, I think it would for me. I mean, it's easier once you've done 15, 20 cruises or more, 30 cruises, 50 cruises, 100 cruises to say that, but summertime,
hot.
Well, this actually happened in February, but still, it's hot. It's in the
hot
Caribbean
down there,
and there's no air moving. You got everybody's body plus the body odor thing. I mean, I can't even stand going to horror conventions now and somebody walks up and they stink like freaking onion armpits. And that drives me crazy now. I can't imagine being on a cruise ship smelling that smell of time, which, when you've been around farms and stuff, you smell stuff like that, but not human. It's a little different.
No.
Oh, God.
It would be horrible.
I went in somewhere the other day. I told Michelle, I said, I smell old man pee. And I said, I hope it's not me. Went to the bathroom. I'm like, damn, it smells like old man pee in here. It's very concentrated. And it's just like,
help us.
Oh, God. So Brady would probably pay for the opportunity. Platinum party gone wild. That's right. Miss Barb is in the house. Good to see Miss Barb. I think Jen said she was against the bars. Okay, maybe she did. Because I read another article that says she's the one that said to do it. So maybe that's the difference in it. The article's one thing. She said something different. So what I'm guessing is time of the release, perfect timing while people complain the loyalty changes. Double blow on Carnival. Hey, Carnival come out and said today, best they've ever done. Financially, they're doing the best they've ever done. They've had more future bookings out way in advance.
That is hilarious, Mike.
What? Which one?
Mike, beach please, brown tear.
That's the brown status. What can Brown do for you? I told Josh the other day that the F stood for very important effing person. Somebody's gonna have that on their shirt, their gimmick shirt. Hey, 2027 gimmick cruise. We got to have a good gimmick. We might get kicked off the ship. There's got to be a good big
I hope not.
gimmick. Yeah, they might drop us off somewhere and never come back. Hey, the Cam fam.
Hey, you guys.
Good to see you in here. Was on the Carnival cruise one time, and several of those giant chess pieces flew over our head and into the ocean. Wow.
Oh, no.
So then also, woo, at the bar, pooping your pants. That's right. I've heard that Ric Flair is having problems controlling things now. And when he does autographs and pictures and at bars, he's just letting it go. Wouldn't matter, Mike. They would probably take it back from them anyway. The father and daughter said they still cruise over here. That's right. And they just said a different line. That's right. Let's see what else we got here. Progresso. Okay. Yeah, that's it. It started with a P. You're right. That's where they were supposed to go back to.
The red bag guy said him and his father-in-law go on vacation every year, but only on land.
I agree, Cara, on this very much. I think I told Amanda Showles this. Was they had already said 2 or 3, 4 months ago when this was coming out, because I remember it. And I was waiting for this, to finally come out. But Carnival releasing just a week or two ago the rewards or loyalty program change. I think they timed all that so they knew within a week they were going to give their business update as well. So I don't know. I don't know what the Beards were thinking.
Yes, look, yes, that's.
I still don't think this was a Carnival only thing. It could have happened no matter what the brand. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I do think though that Carnival had a lot of issues with their ships and they were not keeping up with them. So we got a little bit of time right here. Got 9 minutes here. I want to go over real quick some of the things that have happened since this has happened. What Carnival and other cruise lines have done to make it happen so that this hopefully would not happen again. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen again. It definitely is not going to happen February the 27th of 2027, because that's when we do our group cruise. Or will it happen? I don't know. I hope not. Yeah. God. I know some creators, and this is awful to say, people make money. I saw a thing by Jay today about this. I've heard people that were on cruises before, and cruise influencers and people that put videos out actually said they hoped something bad happened. So not life or death, but they hoped something happened so they could be the first on the story. There's some scum buckets out there in this niche and all of YouTube niches everywhere. But yeah, I've heard that.
I would never, ever wish this on anyone.
No, I can't even stand it. When I'm out of power here at home, I'm about to die. I'm like filling up bathtubs. Don't flush the toilets.
We do.
Don't flush the toilet. Fill the bathtubs up so we can flush the toilets. I got to tell Anthony all that stuff because we got well water and everything else.
A chance of storm.
Right. All right. So here we go. Number 1.
Okay.
Improvements since 2013. Multiple backup generators. I think I was telling Carl that. Modern ships have more robust emergency power systems, including segmented backup generators. These can power essential systems, including sanitation, even if the main power fails.
Good.
Zoned sewage treatment. Most newer ships use modular or zone wastewater systems. That means if one section fails, it doesn't disable the whole system and others can continue to function.
Very good.
None of that was available back before this, or maybe some of the cruise lines did have it, but Carnival didn't. Number 3, automated failover systems. Advanced monitoring systems automatically reroute power or pump functions if a failure is detected.
Very good.
Modern emergency response plans have been put in place. Rapid evacuations or diversion. Cruise ships today are more likely to reroute to the nearest port quickly or transfer passengers to another vessel if a major system fails. And yes. I think Gilbert said that. Ronnie said, like, why didn't they get them on another ship, or why didn't they get them on the life preserver and get them, get them? That is in place now to something like that would happen.
Yep.
Onboard contingencies, backup chemical toilets. This is what I read. Yeah. Backup chemical toilets or emergency portable sanitation units are kept on hand. Ships stock extra sanitation chemicals and absorbent material in case of system stress. Air quality and waste containment. Ships are now equipped with sealed waste holding tanks. I find that hard to believe because I smell some of these decks on these cruise ships.
Where's that smell coming from?
It's coming from somewhere, because even Josh said on the Princess it stunk up on the Lido, and I didn't smell it all week, and the last day I did.
Last night it was
horrible. Awful. And the Pride, I think the Pride stunk a little bit. Ships are now equipped with sealed waste holding tanks that can be manually contained and pumped out of port. Air filtration and odor control systems like activated carbon scrubbers prevent smells from spreading. I don't know about that.
I don't either. I don't know how much carbon can contain that much funk.
Right. So here's another one: logistics and public relations. Real-time communication. Cruise lines now have the protocols for immediate passenger communication, media updates, and social media transparency to avoid PR disasters like the Trump had. That was one thing that, if you remember seeing in the show, they were like foo-fooing it, like, and I don't know if they knew the seriousness of it at the very beginning. They were like, "Oh, go up to the Lido deck and get you a sandwich, get you something to drink, you'll be okay." And until they started telling people to pee in the shower and poop in the bags,
that's when it got real.
Then they had no way to get in touch with their family back home. So, passenger comfort. Cruise ships will prioritize moving guests to staterooms unaffected by the outage, and distributing emergency hygiene kits, wipes, and sanitizer if this was to happen. Think about that. Think about before the pandemic. This is in 2013. You had no way to wash your hands. People were getting in line eating onion sandwiches with fecal and pee and stuff. I mean, it was a petri dish of just filth and scum
that you could not get away from.
Right. And let's see, this is the big one right here. And remember, at the very end of the video, they said this. Remember, they had the sleazeball lawyer. I hope he's not kin to somebody in here from Texas. They had the guy with the white hair and the ponytail at the end that was like trying to, he's like, we're going to sue him. We're going to own it. We're going to own Carnival. And Carnival was smart enough. I'm not saying it was right, just like I'm not saying it's right they took away the diamond and platinum. But on the very last line of their contract, it said they're not responsible for your food, your safety, anything. And you signed it, and it was on your ticket. Okay, the number 3 right here.
Very comforting.
Compensation and legal preparedness. Legal and guest services teams have prepared standardized compensation packages in case of disruptions, including refunds, vouchers, and future cruise credits.
Oh, forget that. I don't want any of it happening.
So if a ship in 2025 was to experience a sewage system failure like Carnival Triumph, this is what they do. Power is rerouted to a sanitation system via backup. A partial outage is isolated rather than affecting the entire ship. Ship immediately diverts to the nearest port, possibly within 12 to 24 hours. Toilets are closed only in affected areas and zones. Crew deploys chemical toilets and sanitation kits and air filtration immediately. Guests are frequently updated and offered alternate accommodations or compensations.
Well, what happens when the ship's full?
What
happens when the ship's full?
I don't know. I mean, I guess they make the people that work there. So that was another thing I thought that the documentary did not do a good enough job on. They did touch it a little bit at the very end, but from everything I've read from interviews and going back and watching videos from 12 years ago, they said the Carnival crew did an incredible job. A lot of these guys were getting very little sleep, guys and girls. They were getting very little sleep. They were thinking on the go and coming up with things to do and trying to feed people. And, they'd never been through this either. And you don't know what you don't know.
They are affected just
they are affected. I mean, the lady was trying to knock it out, and she's got sewage in her floor, and she's not even in her own room, according to the Russian lady, remember? But
y'all, how do you think that? Do y'all feel sorry for me?
Hey. Can't help it.
He misbehaves all the time.
Yep. So just when you don't think it getting worse, you have to port in Alabama. Well, I mean, hey, go Tide, right? They knew the go Tide, roll Tide thing was toilet paper way back then. You know, even in Mobile, Alabama, with the poop cruise. If they could have taken them back to Mexico, it would have been an issue for those without passports. The majority of those people on that same. You're exactly
true.
right. I think they said on that sailing, and it sounds like an awful high number. I thought they said 900 people out of the 4,000. Well, there's 3,000 on the ship, but there was another 1,000 for the workers. Did not have passports. You know, back in 2013, it was probably not that big of a deal. You just bring your.
Wow.
You know.
Wow.
So yeah. Michelle and I would be best friends. If I don't say it, my face definitely will. Mia, that's how Michelle and Anthony's about the same way. I'm sure both Michelle's aren't worried about Mike and Josh's bromance. No. Yeah, I'm too manly for Josh. That is because you are going to horror conventions. That's right. That's right. People stink at horror conventions. I don't understand it. I mean, I put like extra on. I don't want to be that guy that's next to a celebrity and they think, God, this guy stinks.
Yes, Eileen, he said onion armpits.
Did Mike say onion armpits? Yes. Have you ever noticed like body odor smell has a little bit of an onion? That's why I can't eat onions. Raw onions? Ugh. It's like an onion smell to them. Did anyone notice how nice and clean everyone looked getting off the ship at the end? Yeah, I'm sure they. I only saw a couple of people, so I'm sure they pulled the. I did see where the people that were actually on the Netflix documentary, they were in Texas, in Houston, and like the background was an arcade, and yes. That was an arcade, and there was a scene in there where they ran out of power, and they were trying to reenact it for the show, but the place really did. Power blinked off and on real quick. So that was an honest reaction from the guy that went, whoa, that was just like that. It really happened.
Horrible flashback.
That guy may be
traumatized for real.
I hope he don't get back on it. Well, he did say at the end that he goes with his father-in-law now, but it's always land-based. Yep. So I guess he has not got back on a cruise ship. I don't know. All right. So it is 9:02. I'm sorry.
And we have
let's say, hey, here it goes. So there were no sewage leaks on the Triumph. The toilets are a vacuum system, which require electricity. So it's probably a lot of overflow.
Right.
Hey, old restless Porta-Johns. See what I did there? Yes. Port a John Hill. Good example of evacs was when Freedom had her first fire. Guests were sent to another ship that came down from Miami to Grand Turk.
That's exactly what needed to happen.
That's right. Depends on the undergarments on board by the thousands. Problem solved. It's true. These days, there is no free cabin to move to.
Yep.
Got to run. Got to have a nice night, everybody. Hey, see you later. I'm telling you, the biggest issue on the Triumph was not having a fire, but rather the electrical bus being bumped up and having no redundancy. That is a design issue versus an operational issue. Right. I agree. Yes. Yeah, the fire, I think, was contained pretty quickly, so that wasn't the biggest issue. I think that the power, the backup generators, not having all that, that was a major issue. So Mobile, Alabama is still 300 notches above Battle Creek, Michigan. Okay, it probably is. So I cruised my first 5 cruises that they birth certificates before I got a passport. Yes, yes. Mike's obsessed with body odor. I am. I don't want,
I don't want it.
I'm fat already. I don't want to be the fat, stinky guy. I can just be the fat guy. I don't want to be the fat and stinky guy. Stephanie Acker. Okay, I got that. I'm sorry. There was many scenes in that documentary that were not from the Trump. True. Very true. And then you had at the end, they were talking about the couple making out, having sex up on the Lido deck.
When they were drinking.
When they were drinking and partying down. And like, there was kids and stuff around and other people, they was like, I don't care.
I just can't imagine.
I can't imagine either. Wow.
I can't.
So leaking water in the trunk was caused by fire sprinklers being deployed. Okay. I think it's worth watching. I mean, hey, if you've not cruised a lot, you'll probably be scared to death watching it. Yeah, it's only 55 minutes, so it's not that bad of a deal. So hey, go check out the Cruise World. Mark and Stephanie are going live tonight. Beach Please is taking the night off. Mike got a little dental work done, but you guys have a great evening. And I think because of this particular situation, we're going to bring up an oldie but goodie as we finish this out. And I could have been the investigator, but thank you guys for joining us
Thank
tonight.
you so much for joining
and hope
us.
to see you next week.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Sure, everyone does it, but everyone tries to hide it a little differently. Who is brave enough to dive deep into the bowels of this investigation? There could only be one YouTube channel elementary enough to take this on. Lovey's Fat Life will help you pinpoint who dealt it every time. Windbreakers, silent but deadly, rip-roaring flatulation of the seismic blast, or maybe a shart. Join us as we review the Fart File.